So it's Jazz Wednesday again. Today we're going to kind of continue our discussion from last time. Don't mind me killing mosquitoes. About chords and some of the tertian harmony fundamentals and things like that. We're going to just talk about 7th chords today, and specifically I'm going to break this into two lessons. Today we're going to talk about root position and second inversion. Next time we'll talk about first inversion and third inversion. A word about what inversion is. We're going to use this G major 7 to start. So G major 7, a G major triad has the notes G, B, and D, so the 7th has an additional F sharp. So inversion simply means if a different note is in the bass, is the lowest note you hear. So root position is if the G is the lowest note you hear. First inversion is if the B, or the third of the chord, is in the bass. Second inversion is if the fifth of the chord, in this case a D, is in the bass. And lastly, third inversion is if the F sharp or the 7th is in the bass. So we're going to talk about first inversion and, root position and second inversion today. We'll talk about first and third inversion next week. So they're in pairs like that because of the typical way that jazz harmony works with circle fifths progressions and things. So we'll just use our simple 2-5-1 again in G as an example. So here we have, if we use this major 7, this is root position, comping chord or lead chord style, major 7, G major 7. So right here close to it we have a minor 7, and then so we go, so our 2-5-1 and G is of course A, D, and G, and that's A minor 7, D dominant 7, and G major 7. So rather than going like this, and jumping all the way up and kind of throwing off our voice leading, we're going to try to find a chord that's in close proximity here with these two root position chords. And as you may have guessed by now, it's going to be, instead of root position, it's second inversion, like I talked about before. So we need, for a D dominant 7, we need the notes D, F sharp, A, and C natural. So here we have an A natural, a D natural, an F sharp, and a C natural. What do you know? So our progression will go like this. So it's all right there, just in the same vicinity, without having to jump around the neck, and the voice leading is very smooth. The voices don't move at all or move by step. Just a nice transition through chords. Minor works a similar way, although there's one particular thing about minor that we may do different, and I'll play both versions of it for you. So in minor, the 2-5-1 is it's the 2 is a half diminished 7, or minor 7 flat 5, and then the 5 is, this is the particular case, the 5 is dominant 7, or as a substitute for that you can use a 7 chord, which kind of acts as a 5 flat 9. So that's kind of acting, in the case of D, this chord is acting as, you can hear the similarities. It lacks a D, the root, but it still functions the same. In context it sounds a lot like it. So here's the one with the regular dominant 7. And then with the fully diminished 7. So either way works. Anyway, all that is to say, this close proximity motion based on root position, the pair of root position and second inversion is nice. So then lastly, the last thing I wanted to talk about is how to dress these up in a more interesting fashion. So, because we talked all about that last time, turning our 5s into 13s or 11s or things like that, and then and our roots into 9s. So here we could turn this 5th into an 11. And that works fairly nicely. And then we could also, with our dominant 7, this is a really fun thing we can do. Turn our root into a 9. So we're left with, which works nicely. Here's an even more interesting one to me. So we change here's our root. Instead of changing it to a 9, we change it to the 7. And then we don't want to double our 7, so we can simply drop it back to be a 6 or a 13. So then we have 5, 7, 3, 13. And then with this final chord, we can change the 7 into a 6, substitute it kind of interchangeably. Works very nicely. Oh, and I said that was the last thing, but there is one more thing I wanted to show. It works the same way with the same pair if you start with second inversion. So starting with the dominant 7 in second inversion, or starting with the minor 7 in second inversion in A, which is like this. So again, same proximity. So that all works nicely. So next time we'll talk about the first inversion and the third inversion, and it'll be very, very, very similar. So it should be familiar. Until next time.